Today, I'm going to show you how to make YouTube thumbnails for free on Mac using GIMP. And make sure you watch to the end, because if you export your thumbnail the wrong way, your file can end up bigger than what YouTube allows. But before we even download GIMP, there's one important choice you need to make: which version you want to use. Personally, I use the older version, GIMP 2.1, not the current version. And the reason is pretty simple. In my thumbnail, I use drop shadow for basically everything: borders, glow effects, regular drop shadow. I stack it a lot. On the newer version of GIMP, which is 3.2 as of time of recording, the drop shadow opacity actually tops out at 1, whereas on the older GIMP 2.1, it goes up to 2. It basically makes the effect a lot stronger and easier to see. So in this example, both images have the exact same drop shadow settings and the exact same color. The only difference is the one on the left is using the old GIMP 2.1, and the one on the right is using the new GIMP 3.2. Now personally, I recommend using 2.1, and it's what I'm going to show you in this tutorial. If you want to use 3.2 instead, that's totally fine. The core tools should still be there. The icons and layout might just be a little bit different. And with all that being said, let's get into it. So first up, we need to download GIMP. For the 2.1 version, it's actually a little bit hard to find if you just try to Google. So I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. If you're going to use 3.2, that's easy. It's on their main page. Just Google that. So the specific 2.1 GIMP that I use is 2.1.38. I don't know what the differences are with the slightly later versions. All you really need to know though is that if you're on an Apple Silicon Mac, you're going to want to download the ARM64.dmg, and if you're on an Intel Mac, you want the x86 DMG. Click it, hit allow, then go to our downloads folder and double click the DMG. Drag GIMP to our applications, and then in our applications, find and double click GIMP. Hit open. GIMP takes a while the first time to boot up, and after a minute we should see GIMP pop up. First thing we're going to want to do is create our template so that we can basically save ourselves a bunch of time in the future. So go to File in the upper left, click New, put the width to 1920 and height to 1080, just what I typically use for YouTube thumbnails, and then make sure it's on this landscape option, not the portrait option. Then we're going to hit OK. Now it's going to give us this white background. For me, this doesn't matter because I always place an image over this as my own background, but maybe for you, you might not want a white background. You might want a black background or a different color. To do that, we need to change our background color, which is right here. So as you can see, the background color is white. We click it, we can change it to red, anything over here, but let's just say you want to make it black. Click this arrow right here to swap them. Now black is in the background, exit right here, and then same thing, File, New. It should save your preset, and then hit OK. Now we have the black background. Now there's one more thing we want to do for our template, and that is to make guides. So we're going to go to Image, Guides, New Guide by percent, horizontal, leave it at 50%, hit OK, and then we're going to do that again. Image, Guides, New Guide by percent, and we're going to change it from horizontal to vertical, hit OK. Also, this hasn't happened to me in forever, but something that used to happen is when I would create one of the guides, I would get the infinite loading screen beach ball. There was a couple things I could do to get rid of that. Would be to like click away, click something else, and then come back into GIMP and the beach ball was gone. Or you could save it and then exit and then load back in, create the second guide, and then same thing, the beach ball would happen. So I would save and then exit and then come back in. So once our guides are made, we're going to save this as a template so that we don't have to redo this every single time. So we're going to do File, Save, we'll name it Thumbnail Template, save it to our desktop, and then hit Save. Now when we exit out and double click the thumbnail template, our guides and black background are saved. Next, I'm going to show you how I do my thumbnails. They're pretty simple, but I'll do a couple extra things just to show off some more features. So first, let's get a background. So I'm going to go to my backgrounds folder, so let's minimize this. Got my backgrounds folder pulled up, click and drag the image into GIMP. Now sometimes the image won't load right away. Sometimes there's a pop-up that'll ask you if you want to keep or convert the color profile. So you have to choose one of those options before it will actually import into GIMP. So I'm gonna go back to full screen. Now we're gonna select the move tool. So in the upper left, this 4-directional arrow, click it, and now we can move the image, and this is why it's nice to have the guides so we can center it. But as you can see, this image that I want to use as the background does not fit the full canvas. So what we want to do is go to the scale tool. So this one right here, or we can press Shift and S on the keyboard. And then when we go and click back on the image, we can see, yeah, it's too small. This needs to be 1920 by 1080. So what we can do is click into the height, delete this, do 1080 and hit enter on our keyboard, and that will make it bigger. Also, you don't need to use the move tool again. You can just click this center image and bring it here, but you can see the width still isn't big enough. So there's two things you could do depending on what you want to do. If you want to keep the same proportion between the height and the width, you can either increase this until it fits what you want and recenter it, or we can unlock the width and height from each other. Click it, you'll see it's unlocked. And now if we just increase the width, and same thing if we increase the height, only the height increases or decreases. So we could just do 1920 by 1080, center it, and we're good to go. Sometimes that can distort the image, how it looks. It doesn't really matter for this because it's just a background, but if we press Command Z a bunch of times to get it back to its original proportions, let's relock this, and if we drag, it'll increase both at the same time. Then we hit scale, and then we can see what it looks like on the canvas. But if we were to click it again, it'll show the full image. And even though I'm typically a Mac gaming channel, since we're using GIMP, let's try to make the actual thumbnail I'll use for this video. So let's go back to Google and let's just type in the GIMP logo, click it, then we can right click and click Save Image to Downloads. Go back, minimize this, go to our Downloads folder, and click and drag it into the canvas. Go back full screen, go to our scale tool, click the GIMP image, and let's shrink this down a bit, and we can put it on our grid so it's more centered. Then click scale once we're done. Then let's add a MacBook, which I already have a bunch of images for. Click and drag it, go back full screen, click it, let's make it bigger, scale. Now let's say I want to add some text. Go to the text tool, or just press T, click where we want it. It doesn't matter really, we can move it later if we want, and then we will start typing. Let's say on Mac. This text is pretty small. Double click and drag so all the characters are highlighted, and then we can hold the up arrow to increase it. 250 is probably good. Then we go back to our move tool, click and drag it here. Let's make it kind of centered below everything. And also if you want to change the font, go back to the text tool, double click and drag it, make sure they're all highlighted, and then you actually don't touch it here. Go to the left and you can see the fonts. So click this right here and it's going to bring up all the fonts for you. So you could choose, I don't know, this one. I don't like that. Let's go back to Impact. Now you'll see that the on Mac text is above the GIMP logo. If you want the GIMP logo over the text, that's going to be under our layers category in the bottom right. So it's in order of hierarchy. So on Mac, this text is at the top. That means this will be over everything. So if we drag it to the MacBook, it'll be on top of the MacBook. Right under it is the MacBook PNG. So if we were to click and drag the MacBook and change the hierarchy to above the on Mac, you'll see it's covering the text now. And then GIMP is below both of them. So if we move the GIMP logo over here, it's going to show below both of them. So let's move them back real quick. Right here, you can see the opacity. So if you want to change that, you can click and drag it or double click it and type in the number. So this looks really plain. Let's spruce things up with drop shadow. Like I mentioned earlier, I use it for a bunch of stuff. So first, I want to add borders to everything. So let's click this MacBook. We're going to go up top to filters, then go to light and shadow, and then drop shadow. We're going to change the opacity to the maximum, take the X and Y to 0 so that it's centered, and then the blur radius to 0. Increase the grow radius by a couple to give it a nice outline, and hit OK. Let's say I want that exact outline setting for all of these. Then we can just click on a different layer. Let's do the text layer, go back to filters, and we can click repeat drop shadow right here, or just press Command F. And then same thing with the GIMP icon, click it, filters, repeat. Now, GIMP does have a built-in border effect. I'm personally just not a fan of it because there's no preview and it's a little more convoluted, but I'll show you anyways. Maybe I just haven't found a good use for it. So let's press Command and Z to get rid of the drop shadow border, and let's move GIMP above the on Mac. You're gonna want to change the color first. So go to the foreground and let's say, I don't know, let's just say red, hit OK. Now we're gonna right click the GIMP icon layer and click Alpha to Selection. Then we're going to go up to Edit and click Stroke Selection. Now you're going to need to choose the width, which again, this kind of sucks because there's no preview for how thick this looks. So you'd just be doing trial and error. So let's say 15, click Stroke, and there's our outline or border. Again, not a fan of this. I'm going to press Command Z. Editor Relit here, I actually just remembered a use for the stroke selection tool, and that's if you want to make a border around like the actual thumbnail itself. So to do that, first you'll pick your color. This is a blue background, so let's just do like red. Make sure you're on the background layer, right click, Alpha to Selection, go up to Edit, Stroke Selection, pick your width, and then hit Stroke, and then you will have a border. I don't think I've used this in over a year, so I kind of forgot about it, but anyways, back to the video. So let's go back with my original drop shadow. So filter, repeat drop shadow, and there we go. Now let's say I want to add like a glow to the MacBook. Click the MacBook layer, filter, and let's click Reshow drop shadow now. So again, I'm going to center it, and this time I'm going to click color, and let's drag it to a white glow. Hit OK, and now we're just going to increase the opacity until it's something that we like. It seems fine to me, but if you want a more condensed glow, reduce the blur radius, and then if you want like a larger glow, increase the grow radius. Although I do not recommend like a large radius with a low blur, it just looks a little weird to me. Anyways, maybe something like that. Now I want a normal drop shadow to make the GIMP logo pop. So go to GIMP logo, go back to filters, reshow drop shadow. This is pretty good as it is. Maybe we just want it a little tighter, so make that maybe 15, increase that to 750, hit OK. And as you can see, it pops a little more with the drop shadow. Now, if we right click the scale tool, there's a bunch of options. We could flip the image, rotate the image, and a couple other options I don't really use, except there's one feature I want to show you, which is perspective. For this example, I'm going to get rid of the stuff on screen just to make it a little simpler to understand what I'm getting at. So I'm going to download a picture of a MacBook from Google. Let's do this one from eBay with the angled screen. Save image to downloads, go to downloads and pull it in, drag it to the top. For this example, I'm just going to paste our previous thumbnail that I screenshotted. So let me throw that in here. And sorry, this probably seems a bit convoluted, but I just thought of it on the fly. So let's scale this down to the size of the computer. Now, as you can see, this looks really dumb. It just doesn't work because the laptop is tilted. And sure, you could maybe rotate it a bit, but there's a much simpler tool that GIMP has, and that is called the perspective tool. So typically the way I use it is try to get the image a little bit bigger than what you want it on. I'm going to scale it, and now either right click the scale tool and click perspective, or press Shift and P, click it, and now we can drag this to the computer screen. And it basically kind of angles it in a way that makes it look like it's actually on the screen. And if we press Shift and the plus sign, we can actually zoom in to get a little bit more precise with it, make it look a little more believable. And then you can press the minus arrow to back and then hit transform, and there you go. Back to our original thumbnail. Let's drag these to the bottom and drag our original thumbnail back up. Also, quick note, has nothing to do with GIMP, but I figured I would bring it up because it's probably going to be helpful to a lot of people. If you're downloading images and they have like a background and you don't want that, it's really easy to get rid of it. GIMP has a background removal tool, but it was really complicated for me. This is a much simpler method. So let's say this image right here, the MacBook, it has this white background that we don't want. Just go to this website called remove.bg, and you can just click and drag the image into here. And you can see it's going to remove that. So then we hit download. It's free, but if you pay for it, you could get like a higher quality version, but click free, allow. And then we go back in our tutorial. If we see we drag the remove background one, there's nothing, versus the one that we just straight downloaded that has the white border. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there in case it helped anyone. So another thing I do is a vignette, which if I want to take less attention from the background, will help these three layers pop more. So what you can do is go into the bottom right, and this first one on the left is a new layer. So click it, and we can name the layer vignette, hit OK. And then for this specifically, I like to zoom out a little bit. Make sure you click the vignette layer, go to filters, light and shadow, and down to vignette. You'll see the vignette pop up. That's a little too much for me, so let's drag this out a bit. And then this dotted line is the intensity layer. So here is basically no vignette, and then slowly all the way until everything is black. I usually keep it like around this, but for this example, to show you, I'm going to make it darker so that you can see it's darkening my other elements. So if we hit OK, you can see it made everything darker, but we don't want that. That's because the vignette, it's at the top layer, so it's affecting everything. So if we want it to just affect the blue background, we have to drop the layer to just above the background. And when I let go, you'll see the other 3 layers will pop, like so. And that's basically it for how I make my thumbnails. Before I show you how to export so it'll actually fit on YouTube, I'm just gonna go through a couple other tools real quick that I don't use too often, but would probably be pretty common, I think, so maybe they can help you. First one is the blur. Let's take the GIMP logo, click it, go up to filters, blur, and then you can choose your blur, maybe pixelize. You can choose how much over here with the block width and height. Choose to offset it if you want, or go for the Gaussian. Another thing might be useful for a lot of people is the colors. You can desaturate, color balance, temperature, all this stuff here. And yeah, let's say you're done with your thumbnail, file, export as, and you need to change the extension. So it's a .png, delete that and put JPG. Hit export. You can leave everything as is and then hit export. Then we can exit out of this and we have our GIMP tutorial version 1. Not my best, but yeah, definitely not gonna use this thumbnail for the video, but I guess that's what I get for trying to freestyle the video and not planning. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna be about it. You know, again, really just more so like a beginner's guide. There's a bunch of stuff you can do in GIMP that even I don't know how to do, but if you're looking for a free way to do thumbnails on YouTube, I think this is a great way to get started. But yeah, anyways, I hope this was helpful, at least to get you started with GIMP. My channel is more so Mac gaming, so if you're at all interested in that, I have tons of videos on that. That's like my main content. And then occasionally I'll do more general tutorials on specific stuff. But yeah, anyways, I hope this helped, and that's about it. See ya.